Hello, hello, hello. Incredible greetings, everyone. Incredible greetings. All right. We are going to take it take it back to the basics. Man, with some of the stuff that I've seen in groups, this is needed for a lot of people, a lot of crafters, a lot of beginners. You guys need this information. So I need for you guys to share. This will probably be the best piece of content that you will consume if you are somebody that is in the craft, the creative space. If you are creating designs, if you want to do backdrops, banners, posters, you want to do DTF, this is probably going to be the most important and the best piece of content you will consume. Okay. I am going to share this out. So if you are watching the playback of this, you are going to experience a bit of a delay. Well, not say of delay, of silence. It's going to be a little bit delay as far as starting the actual training. Once you see the thumbnail or what's on your screen, because right now you just see a thumbnail. Once you see it go from the thumbnail to my actual screen, and you'll probably see my website come up first. That is where you know that, hey, we're about to get into the topic. Okay. This is a live broadcast. This is not pre-recorded. Therefore, it is not edited down. This is not a, kind of say certain things, cut to this, cut to that. Everything is going to be in real time. So it's going to be a bit of an extended one. Um, we have a live audience whenever I do these live. So there's probably going to be people who come in and they have questions. I'm going to answer those questions. I'm going to say hello as people come in. So if you are someone that just does not like all of that and your frame of mind is, I saw this thumbnail, is what I'm interested in, I just want to get to it, I suggest you just go ahead, if you're watching the playback of this, to go ahead and skip ahead. If you're watching this live, you know the deal. Okay. I do full on, like almost like full on teachings and trainings when I do this. It's not a tutorial. It's going to be a very detailed demonstration. And if you're serious about designing and how things are, like how you save things, the quality of it for printing, you want to get into doing larger scale items and not things that are just made for 8.5 by 11, up to 13 by 19. If you're, doing regular printing or sublimation, things of that nature, if you're sending it off to someone for it to be printed and they're saying things like it needs to be 300 DPI or it needs to be vectorized, OMG, that is driving me absolutely insane when I see fellow creatives in groups. They're saying, hey, I'm trying to get this and this printed, and the person says that I need to have this vectorized, yet it is a full graphic image. There is no way for it to be vectorized. So this is going to be an important one, and I'm giving it to you guys absolutely free. You don't even have to technically sign up for my class. My Photoshop students, which we meet today, today is June 1st. We're actually meeting today in about an hour and a half. So I won't be on here long. That's one of the reasons why I also did this when I did, because I'm not going to be on long, because I do have a class that starts at 12:30. Okay. So let me get to sharing this out, and then we're going to get started. I ask that you guys share, tag a friend, copy the link, save the video, bookmark it if you're watching over on YouTube, save it to a playlist for you to go back to when you watch it again. Grab your pen and paper, because it's going to be a lot of great information in this. I can guarantee you that. All right. So if you just allow me a moment, I'm going to go ahead and share this out. So you just may experience some silence for just a moment while I share this out. Alrighty. We are back and ready to get started. Incredible morning, everyone. Thank you guys so much for tapping in. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. If you are watching from YouTube right now and you are in the live chat, exit out of the live chat so that you can give this video a thumbs up so that you can save this video. This is something that you are going to want to come back to. If you are doing any type of graphic designing and you are saving it to be sent off to someone to print, or even if you are designing it in one place and you have your own printer in-house and you need to print it, it comes out all blurry and things of that nature because you increase the size, you need to tap into this and you need to share with other crafters and creators. I know that you guys see this question come up in groups all the time. How do I save it as 300 DPI? Because that is what your DTF, and I'm doing air quotes, said. You're trying to get a banner or backdrop printed, and they say that it needs to be either 300 DPI or it needs to be vectorized. What other issues will they say? When people say the term high res, or, just hear the term high resolution, what is that? What is DPI? What is the right DPI for this file? How do I know if it's a quality image? If these are questions that you have asked yourself, if you have seen these questions in groups, I need you to put a 3 in the chat right now. Let's get the engagement going. Let's get the chat going. Share it out. Tag a friend. Because this is information that you're going to need. I guarantee I'm going to see a bunch of 3s, because I think, especially if you're a newbie, you've experienced this, or you've seen tons of posts like this in groups. And it's like, I don't even know what to say to you, how to help you. So see, there we go. See, I see the 3s. I see the 3s. See them, see them, see them. All right. I see a couple 3s over here on TikTok. Another 3. Has this happened to anybody recently where you created this design? And if it has, let me know, what design program did you create it in? What design program did you use if you have experienced this yourself? And when you went to send it to someone for it to be printed, they said that it was pixelated, or it wasn't vectorized, or if you did DTF, you ended up with white around the edges. Let me know if you personally have experienced this, and if you did, what design program did you use? Thank you for commenting. Thank you for commenting. Now, when I go through this, I'm going to share with you from my 3, just understanding it from the top 3 programs that many crafters and creators are using, which is Silhouette Studio, Canva, and some have, venture into Photoshop. The same thing will apply if you're working from things like Affinity, Affinity Photo, Affinity Designer, Illustrator, Corel Draw. I see someone here who put in Design Space. Now, that is one where I know, as crafters, Design Space seems so easy to use. It's so user friendly. You want to be able to use it. Cricut is a very popular machine. I went to go to MJ's school, and actually one of the ladies in the office had a Cricut machine sitting on her desk. I'm guessing they're going to probably use that in school somewhere. When Zani Mani was in the hospital, in the family type room where there's toys and all different types of things, that in there was a Cricut machine. It is very, very popular. Their marketing game is top tier, right? And some people feel like it's very, very easy to use, but Cricut is made for you to use their system. They want to keep you in their ecosystem. It is not meant for you to take their design out of their program to be used in a different manner, to be used from sent to a printer that's not in your home, that you can send it directly to. Cricut Design Space does not have an option to save as a file format, a separate file format. So you can't save it as a JPEG from Cricut Design Space. You cannot save it as a PNG. You cannot save it as an SVG. You cannot save it as a PDF. It is meant to stay within that system for you to print directly from their screen with the registration marks on, and then immediately put load it into your machine. So Cricut Design Space, if you are using that as your main or your primary design software, this is your notice that it is time to invest in learning a new program. Canva is on the rise, and with them acquiring Affinity, I'm pretty sure some new things are going to come about, but it is still limited. Canva is really a plug and play type of design system, where you're going to take things that are already created and you're just going to layer them and move them around somebody else created it. Someone created it in a program like Silhouette Studio. Someone created it in a program like Photoshop or Illustrator, and then they sold it to Canva for Canva to have it, in their library. It's very easy access. Canva is easy access. You can design on the go. I've incorporated it into what I do design wise, but there's still limitations. You can't create from complete scratch, like some of those elements and moving edit points around, going in and getting really close to edges when it comes to, you can't do a lot of those things from Canva. It is all plug and play. And yes, they have a lot of apps that allow you to utilize AI to enhance things, but it's not, like some of the other programs, right? So we're going to go through, like, for this particular training, I'm going to focus on saving, and I'm like how to save files, how to set them up. 300 DPI is not this automatic standard for quality. What is going to be most important is you have to know what the size, like what the ultimate size would be. Like, what is going to be your ending size for what most of us do? Now, if it is someone who is just a graphic designer, and let's say like when they designed Princess Tiana, they designed like Lilo and Stitch, they designed Mickey Mouse, they designed Bugs Bunny. Those were illustrated in a way to where it wasn't, made for a specific thing. Like, oh, I'm making this for a kid shirt or an adult shirt. It was designed to where no matter how you use it, it's a high resolution. You can blow it up for it to be on a billboard and it's still going to have clarity to it. But for what we do as crafters, as creators, where we're normally designing for something that is customized, we're normally designing for a specific thing, like for it to be printed at a specific size, for it to be cut at a specific size. Like we're normally, designing with an end product or an end item in mind. So with that being said, you have to know how to properly set up your design program from the start. Because if you don't, when it comes to applying it to whatever that thing is, you're going to run into issues. Today, I'm just going to focus on resolution, but this becomes even more important when it comes as it relates to sizing. I see so many, especially in the sublimation groups, where they are wanting to put a design, let's just say a tumbler, right? Because we all know like tumblers and stuff like that. They want to put it on a tumbler, but the design itself was made with it was designed as a square, where a tumbler template is more of a rectangle. So now when they go to size it, it's either stretched or parts of it is cut off because that was not proportionally designed for that thing. That's a whole nother story in of itself. When it comes to designing and truly understanding this, you have to be willing to learn the true ins and outs to ease your frustrations. But if you're that person where it's like, okay, I just want something quick, I just want to kind of get started, at some point, you're going to hit a roadblock because you're not taking the time to learn what I'm going to call the boring things, where you're learning to really set the file up properly based off of resolution and even size. Okay. So I see something here. I've experienced this in the past. I use Silhouette and Photoshop. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for commenting the 3. I recently used Photoshop to change a low resolution cell phone photo to a JPEG into a PNG. The image is still a little blurry because you cannot. And that is one of the biggest things. So many people think Photoshop is like this magic this magic ball, like this magic mirror, to where you put it in there and just changing from a JPEG to a PNG will change the resolution. It's going to make it, it's going to improve it. And that's not the case. There are certain steps that you have to do in order to change something from a low resolution and then improve the quality. whether it is brushing over it and like, hiding some of those discolored pixels. There's ways, like if it's something that's solid, where you can go through changing levels, doing Gaussian blurs and doing different things to basically improve. Like there's a lot of steps. It will never be as simple as going into a program and then now like just making it 300 DPI and then saving it. The original photo is still the original photo. Unless you are doing modifications to it, you're not going to change the resolution of it. And all of these apps and things like that, where people say, use this to make it look better, they're just using AI. And what those apps will do is they will find eyes that are somewhat similar. This is why sometimes your picture will come back in, but now it's like more of a little smirk. Like that smirk wasn't there because they are replacing those facial features and things like that with AI. They can never really do it like completely when it comes to clothing and stuff because they have to find a source, right? An original source. AI is not a system going into Photoshop. Oh, let me go and do this, click all these things, and now I'm going to make this better. It's normally searching the internet for something that is similar. And if something similar doesn't exist, this is how you end up with those crazy AI things. But it's always looking for something similar to it in order to, quote unquote, correct the resolution. Hello. Thank you for joining from North Florida. Let's see. I see some comments over here. So Studio, too limited. Canva is limited. Can't be a real designer with Canva. So I consider myself to be a real designer, but because I have skills in other programs, I can make Canva work. But if that is the only thing that there's different levels to what people consider to be designing. I think you can be a designer. You can't be an artist because that's someone that's normally creating it from scratch. They're drawing, like they may go and draw out the lines, filling it in with color, doing the right shading. So I think being a graphic artist requires you to use the proper software. But when it comes to designing, there are some that's all they're doing is just arranging, and you just have a really good eye for how you arrange it. So I think you can be a good designer using Canva because you can make it aesthetically pleasing, but being an artist is a little bit different. All right. So in our Photoshop class, our reference right now is basketball, right? Someone said Boston Celtics, and then we had someone say, hey, I want to put some shine on the WNBA. And of course, I love my girl, Angel Reese, okay? So these were some of the files like we pulled last session so that we can create some different things. So I'll just kind of show you real quick. This is one of the things that we created to where the image itself is really like this. And, it's flattened, but we made it look like the word Chicago sky was behind her. So we taught that in the last session on Tuesday. We're going to expand on that and add some different layer styles and things like that today in class. So just to make my life easier, I'm going to use the same reference images for this. All right. So I'm going to go to Photoshop because it's going to be a little bit easier for me to explain it from, you know what? Let's go Canva. Let's go Canva first. The reason why is I want you guys to see how limited Canva is. Let's say you want to design a backdrop or a backdrop. On average, those are about what size? If there's anybody here who has recently designed a backdrop or thought about designing one, wanted to design one, wanted to know how they were done, oh, I got one even better for you. These archways that everybody is raving about. When it comes to the archways, what is the average size that you guys are seeing for those? Or a background or a backdrop? I'm going to go ahead and pull up my calculator. Okay, 6 by 8, 10 by 12 feet. Okay, 6 by 8 feet, 10 by 12 feet. Anyone else? Let me pull y'all back some. No one? So no one else here. No, none of the ones watching this is all going to be new for you because you've never designed a banner or a backdrop, or you've never considered it. So this is going to all be new to you. Everyone that is watching, this is going to be all completely new to you. Okay, let's say cups. I do banners and backdrops. So what is the typical size that you would design for banners and backdrops, and what program are you using to design in? So Phyllis says this is all new to her, new to me. Okay, new to me. All right, so that helps me out because then I'm like, wait a minute, nobody's saying anything to me. But there's a lot of newbies, okay, here who this is brand new to them. So it's like, I wouldn't even know what to write because I don't do this. This is going to be a new experience for me. Perfect, 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 perfect. You go to your dashboard. The link, the Zoom link is there. So you log into your dashboard, you go to the Photoshop class, and you'll see where it says like 2024 Zoom sessions. You're going to click on that. It'll actually be a link just for today. But once you register for it, you want to select all of them, and it will, add it to your library, and you will be registered for them. And it will send you email reminders that, hey, there's a class, like the next class is on Tuesday. Okay, new to me. All right, this makes a lot more sense now. Okay, so on average, so you use Photoshop. On average, the range is like 3 feet to 6 feet or an 8 by 8. So here is what that really means when it comes to breaking it down in pixels. If you are going to design to scale, meaning it is not going to be any bigger than 6 by 8, 10 by 10, 10 by 8, 3 by 6, or 8 by 8. You don't have to design in 300 DPI. You can design at scale and say, I want it to be 100%. Like I want it to be 100 DPI because I am going to print this as is, right? What DPI is simply is whatever the size in inches multiplied by whatever that DPI is or that resolution is, it will give you that DPI. So inches multiplied by the resolution will give you your DPI. Okay, or your pixels. Like when it says, like let's say if it says 900 by 800 px, like your pixels, right? So let's say 3 feet by 6 feet. You have to do the math. 3 times 12. Oops, wait a minute. Why are we not calculating? 3 times 12. So that's 36 inches, right? 6 times 12, 72. If we do 10, 120. Okay, we do 8, 96. So that is your starting point. You have to know that part first. Now you multiply that. So at 8 feet, if we multiply 96 inches by 300, that is going to be 28,800 pixels, right? If you were to save that file like in that resolution, that file would be huge. See, oh, look, I didn't even look over there. She says, yep, I've learned that over the years because my files were way too large. That is huge. That is huge. That is huge. That is huge. So what ends up happening is when someone's going to design something for like a banner and it needs to be blown up, you proportionately scale it down and then you make it 300 DPI or like you make it 300 resolution so that you can then take that, its proportion, you can now scale that up in the software to print it, but the original file is not a large file. So if we were to take those same 96 inches, multiply that by 100, that's 9,600. That is a significantly smaller file, but it is scaled to size, so it's not going to be pixelated as long as the images that you bring in. Now, you can go and set this, this banner up. It's 9,600 pixels. But if the image that you bring in was already low resolution, that's not going to make it better. You're going to blow it up within this, and it's going to look even worse just in 4K. It's going to be a high resolution. It's going to be ugly in high definition, basically. Like the things that you bring in, if you're not creating it from scratch yourself, like meaning you're going into Photoshop and you are typing the words, or you're going to make the shapes, or you're going to use a drawing tablet and you've set your file up and you're drawing them. You're using brushes on this high resolution document. If you're not doing that and you're just bringing in an element, you cannot change that resolution. It is what it is. The reason why they say vectorize is a true vector image or vector file. You can scale it up as big or as small as you want, but vector files can only be created in certain programs. Photoshop is not ideal for creating a vector file because it is made up of pixels. Vectors never have pixels. So I'm going to go to my reference file that we are using, which is going to be Chicago Skies logo. Oh, disclaimer. This video is for educational purposes only. I do not claim to own or have rights to the Chicago Skies logo, Angel Reese's likeness. This is for educational purpose only. I am not going to resell any of these items. If you decide to use anything related to Chicago Sky and their logo or any likeness of Angel Reese, you cannot say that the professor taught me how to do it. She said that I could use this. I should not be sued, X, Y, and Z. This is for educational purposes only. If you decide to create items and sell them with the intellectual property of someone else, be prepared for the potential consequences. All right, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get back into the lesson, okay? All right, so I'm going to come to, where is it? Where did I put it? I think it's this one. Okay. These look the same, right? Can we agree that these two look the same? And I can tell the difference. But for the most part, they kind of look the same. Yes, no? If it looks the same to you, put a 1. Okay, 1, 1, 1. Actually, it really isn't blurry. The color's a little bit different, but it's not really blurry because it's actually a high resolution one, but there is a slight difference to it. Very, very slight difference to it. All right. So this is a vector file. I can ungroup this, and every part of this design can be selected and moved. Okay. Every part of this design, I would be able to easily click on it, go to the color palette, and change the color. So if they wanted to take this file and make it for, like, let's say they want, like during breast cancer awareness, they wanted to make it shades of pink. I'll still leave it as blue. All right. They wanted to make it shades of pink. You can easily click on that and change it. Once something is flattened, you cannot just click on any element and change the color. It is going to completely fill that in. Even if this was in Photoshop and each of the elements was its own, 1 second, please. Sorry about that. Little ones come into the room. Even in Photoshop, right? If this was set up in Photoshop and like every part of this would have to have its own layer. If it's flattened, you're going to run into the same thing. But even in Photoshop, if it was layered, you would not be able to click on it and just change the color. You would have to either use color overlay, or you would have to use like your like you can use the paint bucket, or you would have to create a selection and then fill that color in, or you can do hue and saturation and you can change the hue of it, like of that layer, but you have to like play around with it and things like that. So it's not a matter of just clicking on it and changing it like you would in a vector program. And it's still made up of pixels. Once you save it as a JPEG or a PNG, something that is now flattened, or you complete, like, let's say when you're setting this up, if somebody was to come and it's like set this up and they're using a pen tool and they were making it into a shape, once that shape is rasterized, it now becomes a bunch of pixels. Pixels do not exist in vector files. It is just solid shapes and it is flooded with color. That is why you can extend it. You can scale it down. You could move things around. If like a full design was like vectorized, it had all these things. You can scale it. You can move it around, right? Sometimes when you're designing, it doesn't need to be vectorized, but because how it was originally designed, like if it was in a square and you need it to be in a rectangle, it needs to be in a program where it is still layered, where you can select each layer and resize it, move it around, reposition it. And like, I don't know, most print companies aren't going to move your file around for you, but when you're wanting them to size it to like, oh, what's the thing that, oh my God, it drives me nuts with shirts. People will say, oh, make it 10 by 10, make it 11 by 11, but the design is 8 by 2. You'll never be able to make something that is 8 by 2, 11 by 11. It's not going to happen without it being distorted, without it being squished, without it being skewed. Okay. This is true vector. You can save this. Vector formats. JPEG is not a vector format. PNG is not a vector format. PDF from certain programs can maintain vector formatting. And EPS is a vector format. An AI file, meaning Illustrator, not AI as in artificial intelligence, is a vector format. An SVG is a vector format. A DXF is a vector format. CAD link files, like those are vector formats. If it's not in that file format, it can't be vector. If a print shop is telling you, and it is a full graphics, if it is a picture of Angel Reese on the court and you wanted it for a shirt and they said, oh, I need this in vector, tell them thank you. We decided otherwise, no, we're not going to go with it. Whatever you have to say to no longer do business with them, because they don't know what they are doing. If anybody asks you for a vector version of a photo of someone, run for the hills. Run, and run fast. Don't look back. Do not cross. Do not collect. What did it say? Do not pass go. Do not give them $200. Run, because they don't know what they're talking about. You can never make a photo of someone vector. Never, ever, 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 unless you are going to draw out their face in a vector program. Like you're going to manually trace it. Every highlight is going to be a different layer at a different color, at a different opacity, that is the only way that it can be vectorized. It is going to be layers on top of layers at different colors. So that's part one. Okay. So we now understand the difference between a vector and then something that is, it's a couple different words. It can be rasterized. It can be referred to as like a bitmap file. That would be this. This is a PNG. This could have also technically been a JPEG if it had like a background behind it. So let's say the background was blue. That could be saved as a JPEG. A PNG can exist two ways, with a transparent background and without. It's just that PNG gives you the ability to save it as with a transparent background. You would never be able to save a JPEG as a transparent background. This, if I were to trace and detach it right now in this particular program, even though like it's a PNG, if I wanted to put it in a design, I can layer it. So I can move this to the front. I can resize it. I can place it here. I can move it wherever, but I would not be able to cut this, right? Now I'm going to blow both of these up at the same distance, at the same time. Uh-oh. Oh, wait, you know what? I need to make all of this back to the original color. Oh, wait, no, that's black. This is yellow, but this is black. Okay, there it is. So I'm going to group it. And we're just going to try and make this as big as possible, which this is a really good high resolution image. So I'm not going to really get a lot of distortion in it, but now I should have enough to where you should be able to see the pixels on the edge. Oh, let me clean my camera for y'all over on TikTok. Hold on. I want y'all to see this real good because they can see it good over on Facebook and YouTube. Oh, that didn't help that any. What's on my rag? Hold on. Oh, I don't know why that's coming. Oh, maybe it's just a glare. Let me turn on the light. I still see a glare, but I'm going to try and zoom in a little bit more for you guys. But you should be able to see there are pixels here. So if this was blown up and like put on like in the middle of a background, like a backdrop, you would see in that print those pixels. Now, when it's small, it's so minute, it'll look like a straight line. But when it's blown up or you're zoomed in, you're going to see those pixels. But a true vector, you will never see that. Yes, if it doesn't have a background and you save it as a JPEG, it will automatically create a white background behind it. So one of the things I see in a lot of the groups that I'm in, let's say if something is a black background and like it's like a black background and white writing, and someone will say, well, how do you change it? They'll say change it to duotones, or like they're in Canva, or they'll say like inverted. Yes, you're going to make the text white now, but the background is now going to be black, and vice versa. If it was the background was white and the text was black, you go and reverse it. Like it's just going to revert, but the background will still be there. If it was a PNG and you flip it, right? You invert it, but you save it as a JPEG, the page is going to be blank. You have to save it as a PNG to maintain the transparent background and still see the white design. But you can see that. So now we kind of understand vector, and when something is rasterized or is bitmap, it is made up of pixels, and you will see that. In Canva, the max size, where are we? Right here. In Canva, I've already pulled this up so that, it's already queued up. The max size. So I purposely put like 40. I put something crazy in there for pixels. So it tells you the dimensions must be at least 40 pixels, but no more than 8,000 pixels. Remember in the beginning, or if you just got here, I showed you the math. If you want something to be 300 DPI, just off of like this file here, like just off of this, if you were to take 8,000 and divide that by 300, what is the max size that your design can be? Can everything be made into a vector? If you're going to manually trace it or manually draw it out, yeah. There's no magic wand to click on something. You have to manually recreate that area. Or depending on how it's set up, you would have to trace that area. What is the max size that your design can be, width or height, if you're wanting it to, like when they open it, like it'll be 300 DPI. What is the max size? It's on the screen. I just want y'all to put it in the chat. I want y'all to help my chat out a little bit. No one? No one? No one? Is it a delay? Is it a delay? Hey, just say 26 inches, right? Well, our good friend over here says on average, she is creating a file that is like 3 feet, right? So if it's at scale at 300, which they're saying, okay, it needs to be 300 at scale, you can only go 26 inches wide. So you would not be able to make a 3-foot banner even at scale at 300. Now, this would be a really good starting point. And, on their end, they would be able from 26 to go up to 36. It wouldn't be a big jump, but you still have to have it designed proportionally. But with Canva, they're telling you that their max pixels, however you're going to do it, is 8,000. So if you were designing at scale for 3,000, for 100 DPI, you're now increasing the size to 80 inches that you could technically like design in. If you go and let's say you make your design, because you can change this to inches, right? So it tells you the max that you can do is 83.328 inches. We're going to go 83 times 72 equals 5,000, right? 83 times 100. Oops. I don't know why I hit divide. 83 times 100 is 8,300, like some odd out pixels, which is kind of, so they're basically telling you if you max it out and you're designing to scale, like to exact proportions here, 83 inches at 100, like 80 inches, which is what we know we did the math on before. That is the max for Canva. So many people think that when you go to that last one and you increase it, that it is automatically making it a better resolution. You are blowing it up. But if you designed it at 1 by 1, 2 by 2, and you blow it up, it's still going to be pixelated once you blow it up. Now we're going to go into Photoshop because I can show you a little bit better there. And I only have about 30 minutes. I already set this up. So I'm going to show you the file. Let's see. Okay, here it is right here. Here's also a representation of designing to scale, but considering your resolution. This is set up for 8 by 10. 50% of that, like you drop it 50%, that would be 48 by 60. Okay. You go even lower than that, that would be 24 by 30. 24 by 30 would save as a smaller file, but because it's designed proportionately to what you ultimately want the printer to make it, and they take this, like you save it at 300 DPI, they can scale that up and you will not end up with a completely blurry image. It is still going to have sharpness to it because it was designed to scale, and it was saved, or it was designed in a program at 300 DPI. So it's 300 pixels for every inch. It makes like 300 pixels for that, and you'll be able to scale it up. So I like Silhouette Studio because it makes it so easy to know how to design and scale. That's why I'm always saying you really, really want to understand different programs. And I like to teach the basics of graphic designing via Silhouette Studio because it's easier to do it like this, because you can what I did with this is I made it. We go over here to transform. We go to scale, and I just made it 50%. I can make it 50% again. And now it looks kind of small here, but you just zoom in on it and you design within here, or you make your design page size that you design within here. You make your design page 24 by 30, then you save it. And when they get it and they blow it up, how do I know? I've done so many posters, so many banners this way. So many. I've done my DTF prints this way. You design it in a smaller package so that the file is not super, super large, but it's saved in 300 DPI so that it can be blown up. All right. I'm going to come to my little example here. I'm going to start here. And this one was designed at 48 by 36, 300 DPI. Okay. This one was designed 48 by 36, 100 DPI. Do you see a significant difference between this one at 300 DPI and this one is scaled? It was designed to scale, but it was only 100. Like in Photoshop, I put in 100. Do you see a significant difference? All right. This one was designed at 4.2 inches, 4.2 inches, 300 DPI. 4.2 inches, but at 300 DPI. It's going to be hard for y'all. I'm going to see. Can I zoom in anymore? Hold on. There we go. So see the pixels there. See that? See the sky. Okay. Here it is. This is the 40. This was what, 4 feet by, no, this was 48 by 36. I think you're going to see it in Photoshop anyway. Let me see. This was designed at 48 by 24. My bad. 48 by 24, 300 DPI is what that top one was designed at. This is the 48 by 24 at 300 DPI. This is 48 by 24 at 100 DPI. This is 4 inches by 2 inches, 300 DPI. Sorry. And do you see the pixelation? Once it was blown up to match the size of the 48 by 24, we now have pixelation. Even though it was designed, they tell you, design it at 300 DPI, right? That's what they tell you. But if you did not design it properly, you're going to run into this issue. Now I'm going to show it to you half of that. So the next one was designed at 2:1, 2 inches by 1 inch, but it was 300 DPI. Look at how horrible that looks. 300 DPI is not the holy grail if it is not correctly sized. Hold on one second. Zani was trying to make a waffle and somebody left a bagel in the toaster. So he was freaking out. So what was I saying? Even though it is 300, which everyone tells you 300, 300, 300, 300, 300, 300, there is no way that you can take something designed at 2 by 1 inch and blow it up to 48 inches. It's not going to work. It is going to be pixelated. Now, at 2 inches by 1, or maybe even like 4 inches or whatever, it will appear to be crystal clear because that's a lot of pixels and it's going to make it line up. So if it remains small, it's going to look amazing. But when you try to blow it up 10x, 20x, 30x, it's going to look crazy. So you have to properly size it from the beginning. If you're going to do it, you only want to go, like for me, I like to go about 50%, maybe even like 60, but again, it's still within the proportion. So when I'm designing, and then it's not this big jump, just to make it a smaller file. But this is how this comes out. All right. This is, which I'm going to do over here, right? So we're going to start over here. File, new. I have 30 minutes until my Photoshop class. You can still enroll and meet us there at 12:30. I'm going to put this on 300 pixels per inch, right? So that's your resolution. And I'm going to make this 4 by 1 inch. If I were to change this to pixels, that's only 1200 by 300 pixels, right? If someone was to see that, like we're told, okay, I get this question a lot, right? Well, what's a good number I should look for? And any of my students who've been in my classes can attest to this. I always say you can't go off of just the number. You have to look at all of, like, how clear is it? What is the size when you open it up? Because if I were to just save this and I was to put it online somewhere, someone would go look at the thumbnail. They're going to look at the size and it's going to say 1200 by 300. Someone who does not understand how pixels work, all they see is, oh my God, it's 1200. But now when they go to blow it up, it's blurry. Wait a minute, but it was 1200 pixels, but it was also designed at what, 2 inches? So, or 4 inches. No, I think did I do 4 to 1? No, I'm supposed to do 2 to 1. I was supposed to do 2 to 1. So that's only 600 by 300, which some people will still say, oh, anything over 500 is great, but not when it was designed, because this is 300 DPI. Not when it was designed at 2 inches to 1 by 1 inch. It's only going to look great at the most. You can probably get up to maybe 6 by 3 without it looking horrible. So I'm going to go ahead and hit create. This is a file that is 300. It's like, what is it? 48 by 24, 300 DPI. I'm just going to select everything from here. I'm going to drag it over to my nice little one. Look at how much is actually, it's scaled. It's a 2 to 1, 4 feet, 2 feet. Is that not still 2 to 1? But you can't even see the design. It doesn't automatically, like, because this is a larger file. So I'm going to shrink this down to about 10% so I can see the edges. I'm going to go Control T. Oh, I still can't see the edges. Let's go down to 5. There we go. And I'm going to shrink this down to size. I still got to shrink it some more. Oh, actually, no, up a little bit. All right, bam, right? It looks okay. If I zoom in, this is what, 250, like this zoomed in 250. You can see the pixelation. At 100, you won't really see it, but it's also going to appear really, really small on your screen. And you would only be able to print this out no more than maybe like blowing it up to about 4 inches. I'm going to go File, Export, Export as JPEG. It is 600 by 300 pixels. This is scaled to 100% because the file was already set up. Even though the file was set up to 300, scale and pixels are not the same. Like these, I probably need to create an ebook or create a guide of terminology, because so many people think that scale and resolution are the same, and they're not. They are definitely not. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and export this. And I'm going to go 2 to 1, 300 demo live. Someone says, yep, I thought they were the same. Let's see. So in summary, pay attention to size and DPI. Correct. No, you cannot convert an image to a higher DPI with a free online converter. That is why I'm doing this. That is the biggest misconception ever. No, you cannot. And I'm going to show you why. Okay. So I did this one, right? An online converter is no different than Photoshop is the holy grail. If I now go and say new, right? I'm going to make this, let's say, I'll still do that. Okay, so I'll just do 48 by 24, 300 DPI. I'm going to go ahead and create this. I'm going to bring in, so I'm going to place embedded that small file that I just created. The one I just created. So this one is live, 2 to 1, 300. We're going to place it. Small. I'm going to now increase this to fit this. That doesn't improve the quality. And this is at 8% that I'm looking at this. At 100%, you're going to see nothing but pixels. This is at 21%. If I go over to the original at 8%, I'm at 65%, and this is what it looks like. But on this one, where I took that small file, I put it in a file that was what? I don't know how many times. 50, almost 50, like, because it's like 48 and it was what? 2? So way bigger, 300. This is at, I'm looking at this at 21%, like zoomed in. If I go to closer to 100, look at how pixelated that is. So that is the biggest misconception. You cannot go into any program and just convert it and say, "Oh, this was horrible. I'm going to put it in a bigger file and make it a higher DPI count." It doesn't change the quality of it. Technically, it kind of makes it worse. AI will go in and try and do like certain things or whatever and like find stuff to match, but it won't improve the quality. The number will change. And this is what I'm trying to get to. Just because the pixel number changes does not make it better quality. Just because the pixel number changes doesn't make it better quality. This is so helpful. Hey, Professor. She says, "My city, my team." Thank you so much. Still a little lost on if I design in another program, how do I save it for 300 DPI? You don't save it for 300 DPI. You have to create it in 300 DPI if that is what you want. You don't save it in 300 DPI. You have to create it in 300 DPI. So let's go to, I'm gonna close. I'm gonna go back to this one that was 2:1, right? I'm going to go back down to like 10% on this, right? At 10%, it looks good, but that means it's really small. I'm gonna go File, Export, Export As. I'm going to scale this up to, oh wait, I'm on the wrong one. Cancel. Hold on, which one am I on? This is 48. I'm on the wrong one. This one right here. So I'm going to go File, Export, Export As, right? So 300 DPI for because we were at 2. Well, this actually is 300 DPI. But if we wanted to take it up to, what is the other one? How many DPI was that? Dang it, what did it say? All right, I'm going to go 4 times 300 is 1200 DPI, right? So let's say I take this up to 1200. That would be, it should just be double. Yeah. So if I take that to this, right? Take it up to 1200. Like I'm now making it 1200 pixels. I'm going to export and I'm going to go live, but I'm going to go 200. 200. You can't put the % sign, and I'm going to hit save. Now I'm just going to show it to you in Silhouette Studio. I'm going to go open here. We're going to open up the 200. And then I'm going to merge in the 300, the regular one. All right. Why is it taking forever? Is this it? No. Why are you taking forever to open? All right. So let's see. If you use stickles next to the image, we'd have a constant visual of the measure. Huh? Stickies? I'm just zooming in and out. This is a free class. When you, of course, when you have to zoom in to see it, but that's showing it at scale when I'm zooming it in. Okay, so here is that one. And then I'm going to go File, Merge. Oh, wait, which one did I open up? I opened up the 200. And then I'm going to open up this one. I'm going to merge this one in. That was only 200. It might come out the same. Like if I go 300 and I go like make it really, really big, it might be a little bit different because I only went up 200. So you can create what in Photoshop? Of course, you can create anything in Photoshop. So if we want a backdrop that's 4 feet by 4, we want a 4 foot by 4 foot backdrop. I need to create that size using 300 DPI. Not really. So 4 by 4, right? So that would be 4 times 12, 48 inches. If you multiply that by 100, which is your resolution, you can create it at 4,000 by 4,800 by 4,800 pixels. It would still be a 4 foot by 4 foot banner or backdrop. If you were to do that same thing at 300 DPI, that would make the resolution 14,400 by 14,400. And that is going to be a humongous file that's going to be really hard to send off to any printer. Or it's going to take a really long time to open up. Like if you have if you have your own printer in-house and you're sending it, like you're designing on one computer and then the other computer has your print software or your RIP software, opening that is now going to take a really long time depending on your system because it's going to be a humongous file. That's the part that I probably should have also pointed out. So let's go here and I'm going to go to File, Export, Export As, and it'll tell you the size. So this one at 200%, it is 237.8 kilobytes. If I take it back down to scale at 100, that is a file that's only 110.9. So 111 kilobytes, right? So I'm going to cancel that one. I'm going to come to the one that is 48 by 24 at 300 DPI. If I go and I hit export on that one, that file at scale, at size, is 6 megs. So now we're out of kilos, which is a small file. We're at 6 megs, which still isn't that bad. If I were to, like, if I needed this to technically be double this size, we're going to go and just go 200, right? So let's say when they go to print it, they're going to make it bigger. I could either send them a file that is 6 meg, or if I designed it at 8 feet by 4 feet, I would now be trying to send one that, oh, this one wasn't that bad. So it was like, oh no, it wouldn't even let me go up. Look, I got a warning sign because I designed that so big. So even trying to go up to 200, I got a warning sign. It won't even let me go up. I was like, why don't we jump up to 6.4? It won't even let me go up that high. But if I go, I'm going to cancel. I'm going to create a file. So that was what, 4 by 2? I'm going to make one now that's 8 by 4. So File, New. I'm going to make this 96 by 48, 300. I'm going to create. I'm going to bring this over here because it'll be easier for me to move it. Move this here, drop it in. It's going to come in smaller because this is now a bigger canvas. Control T. I'm going to increase this. Woo! Whoa! Whoa! Too big. Undo. Come back over. I got kind of carried away. Okay, so there we go right there, right? Enter. I'm going to go File. Oops, I said Enter. I'm going to go Export, and you're going to see the size of it. So File, Export, Export as. Now, the one that was 4x2 wouldn't let me go up to 200%. So this goes back to, depending on what it is that you are creating, designing it to scale. Because if you design, and that's why I say sometimes I only like to go about like, I like to go like 50%, because now when they try and like blow it up or like resave it, it's going to tell them they can't. But this is now, actually this one is bugging too. So it dropped the scale technically to, it's dropping it to 52, and that is 16.4 megs. That, well, at the original scale, it's actually 28 something, and it'll be 16.4. It wants me to drop it down to 1499 by 75, and that's 52. It's giving me some darn warning sign. This image dimension cannot scale exactly as entered and has been rounded. For an exact size, please use canvas size or scale the layer and effects to in the document, which I did, which I don't know why it won't let me do that. But for certain things, depending on how much graphics are in there, the system may limit you. So it's taking it back down to 6, but it was originally what, 16 at its original scale, which was like 28. What did it say? 28 something something. Like now it's gone back down. But when it first popped up, if you watch the playback, you'll see what that number was. So now if I go in and I want this to be like, I don't need this to be 300 because it's huge. It's a huge file. I need to make this smaller and then have it scaled up, or I design it at, let's go, I'm going to go cancel for this one. I'm going to do it again. File, new. Instead of 300, I'm going to make this 100. And I'm going to go create. I'm going to pull in all of these to 8. We're going to scale it down. But when I go to save this, I can have it at scale to 100%. And that is now a 3, but it's still going to be the same quality. It's 9600 by 4800 pixels, but that's designed exactly to scale. And I only need to have it at 100. I don't have to design it at 300 because it is exactly to scale. So I guess I'll summarize like this. When you need to focus on 300 is when you don't know the exact size. That is when you need to focus on 300 DPI, when you don't know the exact size that it will be. Like I said in the beginning, if they were designing a character, Mickey, Minnie, Lola, Tasmanian Devil, what's the one my son likes to watch? Bluey, whatever. Those can be used separately and they can be blown up, scaled down, put on a keychain, put on a billboard, because they don't know what size that will be scaled to. They'll pick a middle ground, but design it at 300 DPI so that it can be shrunken down in size and it can be blown up, because they don't know how big or how small someone's going to make it. But us as crafters, as creatives, we are normally designing, as I said in the beginning of this, we are normally designing for something specific. So when you know the size, you don't have to do 300 DPI. If you are designing it to the exact size. If I'm doing DTF, I'm going to make my design page, like in Silhouette Studio, the exact size of that DTF like film. 22, or I do 21.5 by 36 by 72 by 96. I'm going to create my design. I'm going to scale that to 10 inches, 8 inches, 8 by 4, whatever it is. And I'm going to arrange them on there. So now when I save this file that is 21.5 by 72 or 96, because you can't go any higher than 110 in Silhouette Studio. When I save it to or 106, when I save it to this size and I open it up in Photoshop, it is designed to scale. 300 DPI is only important if it needs to be increased. If it doesn't need to be increased, you can design at 100. Design it exactly to scale. So I mean, I could easily set this up because these aren't images. Of course, I didn't take these pictures. I didn't create the logo. These are all just JPEGs and PNGs. So I can go and set this exact same thing up in Silhouette Studio, but I did this demonstration from Photoshop. I was using Silhouette Studio because it's easier to show the images. All right, I got to run because my class starts in 10 minutes. And then we have a 10-minute grace period. My Photoshop class starts. You can still enroll in our Photoshop class. We are going to really, really break this design down as well as some other things. That's why I said I can do this now because it's going to just lead to my class, the lesson for my class. So we're going to go ahead and just cancel this. Last call for questions before I hop off. Now, this is an hour and 21 minutes. I mean, part of it was me saving it. So it's a good hour of information. Bookmark this, guys. Don't try and go find. Well, you can always come to my page or my channel and look for the Angel Reese thumbnail. But go ahead, save it now. Come back to it, especially if you came into this on the tail end of it. I did a lot of explaining on the front end of this. So go back and watch the beginning of this video. If you missed the comparison between this design at the different, where is it? Is it this one? Yeah. If you missed this breakdown, go back to the beginning and watch it. Once again, last call for any questions. Thank you. This has been helpful. Never created in 300, just always saved it. And I don't understand when people say they save in 300. What programs are you guys going to save at 300? Because in Photoshop, that doesn't even become an option to save it as 300 DPI. That's what you do when you first set it up. Now in Silhouette Studio, when y'all go and y'all move that little slider, that's not changing the resolution. You should still have it at scale. When you're doing it in Canva, Canva was originally meant for mobile devices. So their numbers, like the higher numbers, are based off of 72, which is what is normally standard for like mobile devices. It doesn't even have 300. Like when you go to save in Canva, it tells you like 1x, 2x, 3x, or whatever. Let's see. And then we're just going to go share, download. So when you go here, it doesn't even this is the part that I'm not understanding. Everyone keeps saying 300 DPI, but I'm like, the programs that you are using, they don't have a function to save. There's no, where do y'all see 300 at? That's what's like, I have to do this video. I have to, because everyone keeps saying they're saving. Oh, save it at 300. There is no such thing as saving it at 300, especially from Canva. Because if you've never done the math, you're not going to know what this pixel means. You're just taking up, some people say, oh, I just maxed it out. Now you've made this ridiculously huge file for no reason. And it doesn't improve the quality just because you made it this ridiculously huge file. If you designed it, you started off with the Instagram post. An Instagram post, when you save it, comes out to 1.34 inches. So if you took an Instagram post file and you saved that and you just took it up, all you did was take a 1.34 inch and you are now blowing it up to like 2-3 inches or whatever, and now when you go into like your other program and now you want to blow it up to 10 inches, it's still going to be blurry. There is in no program is there an option to save at 300 dpi. You have to create. You have to create at 300 dpi. Make sense? I don't save the live on here. You can go and watch or catch it over on my YouTube channel, and it is saved over there. But over here, I don't put it like, I can see it. It's saved for me, but I don't go and chop and screw. I'm not going to chop and screw an hour or even download that, because that's going to be a really long file for it to be like an hour and a half of a live video. So you have to go over to my YouTube channel to watch the playback of this. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I learned so much, and will rewatch and take notes. Thank you. Thank you. All right. As I said, if you would like to join any of our classes, I teach graphic designing, the basics of it. I explain all these things. I break it down because the same things apply in Silhouette Studio. So if you would like to take a class with me, for the value that you get, it is very affordable. Our Essential Silhouette Studio is currently $103.65 for the next month. Once we start the new refreshers in July, this price will change. Make sure that you get in where you fit in at this great price, because the price will change before we start the new series of refreshers, the 13-week refresher live via Zoom and study hall sessions start in July. It is June 1st. This price is only good for the next 30 days. Okay. Essentials of Photoshop is going on right now all the way until like June 15th. And it is $123.65 if you pay for it one time. If you do buy now, pay later. I think you like to get access to today's session, the last time, the original 8 sessions, the 3 sessions we already had, and the future ones. I want to say I don't know why it's not showing up here, but it normally says it. Okay, so it's like $38 because this is based off of the 123. But when you go here, it's really like, I think someone says like $38. So you can pay $38 today, and you can join us today for the Photoshop class. Okay. All right, y'all. Until next time, have a great one. Continue to unlock your creativity and be incredible. Peace.